All right, well, climate activists are always telling us we're doomed. We're doomed. We're doomed if we do this. We're doomed if we do that. So we're going to bring in on set. I've actually never in the flesh met my friend Bjorn Lomborg, who has made such a great contribution to the discussion. He's president of the Copenhagen Consensus, senior fellow at the Hoover Institute, and author of False Alarm. Bjorn, welcome. It's a great pleasure.
Pleasure to be.
Let me just start with this United Nations panel. If we don't cut greenhouse gas emissions 60% in the next 12 years, we're all doomed. We're all completely doomed. What do you think about that? How would that help the world economy?
Well, first of all, it's going to be incredibly expensive. It's not going to happen. And it's actually not what they're saying. So what they say is if you want to reach an impossible target, the 1.5 degree target, which is just something we decided, oh, that sounds nice, let's do that. It's impossible, and hence, that's why you have to do these almost impossible policies to do it. Now, they're saying something true. They're saying if you want to reach this impossible target, you'll have to pay impossible amounts of money. But the reality, of course, is we're not going to do it, and it's not the smart thing to do. It is a real problem, but we're fixing it really badly.
Wouldn't that destroy third world, undeveloped, what we used to call third world? I mean, they want energy. You've said this to me before. They want energy, and we should just let the private sector technology help them out. This is so draconian. And here's another one. Look, this IRENA group, you probably know them, I don't know them,
Yep.
International Renewable Energy Agency. They say we got to spend another 35 trillion. 35 trillion, Bjorn. That's a big number, I think.
And they say without blinking, and they didn't say, we have to spend over the next 50 years or 30 years. They say for the next 7 years.
Oh, in 7?
It's by 2030. So, you've got to, you've almost got to just smile. This has gotten ridiculous. Look, global warming is real. It's something that we should fix. But we need to recognize that people have other priorities as well. They want a lot of other things. We're not going to spend $35 trillion on this. And what it also tells you is that when they come out and say, oh, green is incredibly cheap, it's going to make us rich, green growth, all that stuff. Well, why is it you need $35 trillion? Well, that's because it's actually really, really expensive. It's hard to do this. So we should do some of it. We should be smart about it. But fundamentally, this is about making green energy so cheap that everyone will want it, China, India, Africa.
How about markets? How about technological advance?
Technological innovation.
Instead of 35 trillion?
That's how you solve this. And look, Bill Gates, for instance, is investing in fourth-generation nuclear. I don't know if fourth-generation nuclear is going to work, but I'm so happy that some people are actually investing in it so we could find out. Imagine if fourth-generation nuclear is going to be cheaper than anything else. Everyone will buy it, not just rich, well-meaning Americans, but also the Chinese and the Indians and the Africans.
I don't want to get political, because I know you're not political, and that's not my point. But I just want to say this. The administration is saying that there's more climate mandates for automobiles and trucks that will cut 50% of their emissions by the end of the decade. Do you think that's realistic? Do you think that's necessary?
So I don't know the specific statistic, but fundamentally, there's a lot of arguments that we need to cut a lot of emissions right now. The problem, of course, is if you want to cut in the short run, that's going to be very expensive. A lot of this hinges on the idea of saying we're all going to go electric. But the reality is most people don't want electric cars unless they get heavily subsidized, essentially bribed to buy them. I don't know if you know this. So the Biden Energy Information Administration, the guys who are actually doing these predictions, what do you think they say for 2050? How many electric cars are going to be in the U.S.?
I thought I heard 10%, something
9%.
like that. 9%.
Yeah. So
that's not a great number.
No. And what that tells you is, yes, for some people, if you have your own garage, remember 40% of Americans don't actually have a place where they can charge their electric car. And if you just drive, like 20, 40 miles to your work, you can charge it there, you can go home, and you don't really do big trips. That may be a good idea.
What if you don't have electricity like in California?
Exactly.
That's a joke, but
partly
serious.
But it does tell you there's a lot of push to get everything on the grid, but then you realize, oh, wait, we don't have enough electricity. We've got to get realistic about this. We're not going to solve it by just simply pushing everything, spending $35 trillion, achieving very little, and then realizing we didn't have the major emitters, which are China and India and Africa.
Who just aren't paying any attention to any of this at all.
They're paying a little bit of attention, but fundamentally, they have other and more important issues.
Bjorn Lomborg, the great Bjorn Lomborg, finally on set live.